All right. Time to dive into all these brain-boosting tips you guys sent in. We've got research articles, thought-provoking essays, all kinds of stuff.
It's really a fascinating collection.
And trust me, we're going to go way beyond the usual stuff you hear about this. Get ready for some seriously cool insights that'll totally amp up your thinking.
Yeah, and what's really cool is we're not just talking about you know, cramming more facts into your head. We're talking about strategies that really tap into how your brain naturally changes and how it adapts, how to literally become smarter, you know?
Oh, I love that. So no more wishing we were born geniuses. We can actually make ourselves smarter.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And you know what? The first step might surprise you. It all starts with something we all did as kids, and maybe we need to rediscover it as adults. Questioning.
Yeah.
Just relentlessly questioning everything.
You mean like channeling our inner 5-year-old who just keeps asking why all the time?
Exactly. Curiosity. You know, it isn't just some cute little trait. It's a powerful neurological tool. When you question something, your brain actually releases dopamine. And you know what that's linked to?
What? Tell me.
The feeling of reward.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that my brain actually rewards me for being curious?
It does.
That explains a lot.
It really does. Think back to a time when you were really, really curious about something. Didn't it feel amazing to finally figure it out? That was your brain basically giving you a dopamine high five.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But how does just asking questions, like how does that actually make me smarter?
Because that dopamine rush, it isn't just a fleeting feeling, you know.
Hmm.
It actually strengthens those neural pathways in your brain that are all about learning. The more you question things, the more your brain's like, hey, this is important, let's pay attention.
So it's like working out a muscle, right? The more you use your questioning muscle, the stronger it gets.
Right. Precisely. And that makes you a much more active learner. Instead of just passively absorbing information, you're digging deeper, you're making connections, and you're forging your own understanding. And that, by the way, is the key to remembering what you learn.
Oh, that is so cool. Okay, so how do we make this questioning thing, this habit, a part of our daily life? How do we do that?
It's really all about being more mindful. You know, the next time you're reading an article or even just having a conversation, challenge yourself. Ask why.
Hmm.
Don't just accept things at face value. Push back a little. Probe deeper. See where your curiosity leads you.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, now this next topic from the stack is fascinating. It turns out learning a new language isn't just a cool skill to have. It's a full-on brain workout. I mean, wow.
You know, people often think of intelligence as this fixed thing, like you're either born smart or you're not.
Yeah.
But the science of neuroplasticity is showing us just how much our brains can actually change. And learning a new language, well, that's a perfect example.
So tell me exactly how learning, say, Spanish is going to make my brain more powerful. Like, how does that work?
Well, for starters, it strengthens your working memory.
Yeah.
You know, that's like your brain's RAM.
Right.
It's what allows you to juggle all those thoughts, ideas, tasks all at once.
So if I'm fluent in French, I'll finally be able to remember where I put my keys and plan my day at the same time? Is that how it works?
Exactly. But there's even more to it than that. Studies are showing that bilingual brains are just more efficient at processing information, you know. They're also better at filtering out distractions and switching between tasks.
No wonder those polyglots seem so incredibly sharp. It's like they're always one step ahead.
They are. And here's another mind-blowing fact. Bilingual brains actually show increased density in certain areas, like the hippocampus, which is, super crucial for memory.
Hold on. Are you saying that learning a language can literally change the physical structure of my brain?
It can.
Hmm.
And there's research that suggests that this could actually offer some protection against age-related cognitive decline. You know, like you're building up this cognitive reserve.
Okay, I am officially motivated to dust off those Duolingo notifications. But let's be honest, some brain workouts feel a little bit more like work, you know what I mean? Like tackling those intimidatingly dense books, the ones we keep meaning to read.
But those tough reads, that's where the real magic happens.
Really?
Think of it this way. It's like weightlifting, but for your brain. You wouldn't expect to build muscle by just lifting the lightest weights, would you?
Right, you got to challenge yourself to see real growth.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Every time you wrestle with complex ideas, you're forcing your brain to expand, to make new connections. It builds mental stamina, and it promotes a growth mindset.
So instead of scrolling through endless social media feeds, I could be building some serious cognitive muscle by diving into a thought-provoking book.
Exactly.
That is such a good point.
And you know what? Remember, knowledge is most valuable when it's applied, so it's not enough to just read that challenging book. The real key is to find ways to actually use what you've learned.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we do that? How do we bridge that gap between knowledge and action? How do we turn these brilliant ideas into real-world results?
Well, it's all about finding ways to integrate that new knowledge into your life, no matter how small. You read a fascinating article about psychology. Try applying those insights to your next conversation. Learn a new productivity technique. Well, put it to the test by revamping your to-do list.
I love that. It's about making knowledge a part of our daily lives, not just something we kind of passively consume.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about questioning, we've talked about language learning, we've talked about those tough reads. Now let's talk about something that sometimes, even with the best intentions, our brain needs an extra boost. What better way to give it a boost than with some exercise?
It's so true. We all know that exercise is good for our bodies. But what's fascinating is how much it benefits our brains as well. When you get your heart pumping, you're increasing blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients.
So it's like a spa treatment for your brain cells.
You could say that. But exercise does more than just pamper your brain. It actually promotes something called neurogenesis.
What? Break that down for me.
Neurogenesis.
Why?
That's the birth of new brain cells.
Hold on. I can actually grow new brain cells through exercise.
You can.
That's incredible. Tell me more about this whole neurogenesis thing.
Okay, so it's all thanks to a protein called BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Okay, got it.
Exercise boosts your BDNF levels, and BDNF, it acts like fertilizer for your brain, encouraging those new neurons to grow. And that happens particularly in the hippocampus, which, as we talked about before, is key for learning and memory.
All right, I'm definitely lacing up my sneakers after this. And I bet exercise also helps combat that dreaded brain fog too, right?
Absolutely. Exercise is a fantastic stress reliever. It lowers your cortisol levels, the hormone that's associated with stress, and it releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects.
So it's like a double whammy, reducing the stuff that clouds our thinking and pumping up those feel-good chemicals that help us think clearly. Sign me up. Okay, so speaking of things we put into our bodies, let's talk about food. We all know that the saying, "you are what you eat," applies to our physical health. But it turns out it's equally true for our mental sharpness.
Absolutely. Your diet is literally the fuel that powers your brain. And just like you wouldn't put low-grade fuel in a high-performance car, you want to make sure you're giving your brain the premium nutrients it needs to thrive.
So what kind of brain-boosting foods should we be prioritizing? Give us the goods.
All right, first and foremost, let's talk about what to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Processed foods.
Okay.
They're often packed with empty calories, unhealthy fats, and artificial ingredients that can actually impair cognitive function.
So it's not just about what we're putting in our bodies, but also what we're keeping out.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to powering up your brain, complex carbohydrates are your best friend.
Okay.
Think whole grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes. They provide a steady release of energy, which helps you maintain focus and concentration throughout the day.
Got it. So swap out that sugary cereal for a bowl of oatmeal with berries.
Exactly. And don't forget about those essential nutrients. Omega-3 fatty acids, B vitamins, antioxidants. You can find these brain-boosting goodies in foods like fatty fish, nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and all those colorful fruits and vegetables.
So basically, eating for brain power is all about choosing those whole, unprocessed foods that are just packed with nutrients.
You got it. Think of it as giving your brain a gourmet feast instead of, fast food.
Love it. Okay, speaking of things our brains need to function at their best, let's talk about sleep. Now, I know we've all heard how important sleep is, but I think it's worth diving into the why behind it. Like, what's actually happening in our brains while we're snoozing away?
Think of sleep as your brain's nightly maintenance crew, coming in to clean up, organize, make repairs. While you're slumbering away, your brain is busy consolidating memories, processing all that information you've learned during the day, and clearing out waste products that can build up and impair cognitive function.
Wait, so our brains are basically doing a deep clean while we sleep.
Pretty much.
That's amazing. Tell me more. What's going on?
Well, one of the key things that happens during sleep is memory consolidation. It's like your brain is taking all that information it's gathered during the day and it's filing it away for long-term storage.
So that's why pulling an all-nighter before an exam is not exactly the best strategy.
Exactly. Sleep deprivation makes it much harder for your brain to encode and store memories effectively. And it's not just about memory either. Sleep plays a vital role in regulating our emotions, boosting creativity, and even strengthening our immune system.
This is really making me realize that sleep is not a luxury. It's an essential part of maintaining a healthy and high-functioning brain.
It is.
Okay. But for those of us who want a more structured approach to boosting brain power, are there specific strategies we can use to, like, target our cognitive growth?
Absolutely. One of the most effective strategies is setting SMART goals. You've probably heard of this acronym in other contexts,
Sure.
but it's equally applicable when it comes to becoming smarter.
Okay, remind me, what does SMART stand for again?
So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Instead of just vaguely saying, I want to learn more, you would set a SMART goal like, I will read one book on neuroscience per month for the next year.
Oh, I love that. It takes that vague desire and turns it into a concrete action plan. It's like having a roadmap for your brain power journey.
Exactly. And by making your goals measurable and time-bound, you can track your progress and stay motivated.
Brilliant. So we've covered a lot of ground already. We've talked about questioning everything, learning languages, tackling those challenging reads, exercising, eating well, sleeping well, setting smart goals. Is there anything else we can do to keep those mental muscles flexed and growing?
One of the most overlooked but powerful strategies is to regularly reality check yourself.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. What exactly does that mean in the context of boosting brain power?
It's all about cultivating self-awareness. Taking the time to honestly assess your strengths, your weaknesses, your thought patterns, biases, areas for improvement, all of it.
So it's like holding up a mirror to our minds and getting real with ourselves, right?
Precisely. It can be a little uncomfortable at times, but it's essential for growth. When you're aware of your blind spots, you can address them. When you acknowledge your strengths, you can leverage them more effectively.
This is making me realize that becoming smarter isn't just about acquiring knowledge, it's about understanding ourselves better, too.
It is.
But what about those times when we're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, just plain stuck? Is there anything we can do to give our brains a little boost, like a reset button?
Sometimes the best thing you can do for your brain is to just step away from the screens, the to-do lists, and the demands of daily life and immerse yourself in nature.
Oh, nature. It's like a giant reset button for our minds and bodies. I can already feel my stress levels melting away just thinking about it.
There's a growing body of research that shows just how beneficial spending time in nature is for our brains. It reduces stress and anxiety, improves focus and concentration, boosts creativity, and even enhances our mood.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's about thinking better, too.
Exactly. One theory is that nature provides what's called soft fascination. It captures our attention in a gentle, effortless way, allowing our minds to wander and rest, which is essential for cognitive restoration.
It's like giving our brains a much-needed vacation from all the mental hustle and bustle of modern life. I imagine even a short walk in the park can make a difference.
Absolutely. Even brief exposure to nature can have a positive impact.
Okay, good to know. And speaking of practices that can have a big impact in a short amount of time, let's talk about meditation. I know it's become incredibly popular, but is there any real science behind its brain-boosting benefits?
Oh, definitely. Meditation is more than just a relaxation technique. It's a powerful tool for training your mind, enhancing your cognitive abilities. When you meditate, you're essentially training your brain to focus, to quiet that constant chatter of your thoughts.
So it's like building mental muscle, but instead of lifting weights, we're learning to control our own minds.
Exactly. And the benefits go far beyond just improved focus. Meditation has been shown to reduce stress and anxiety, improve emotional regulation, enhance creativity, and even boost compassion and empathy.
Wow, that's quite a list. But let's be honest, sometimes we need a more active approach to keep our brains engaged. What are some ways that we can give our brains a good workout?
Well, just like our bodies need regular exercise to stay fit and healthy, our brains need mental workouts too.
Okay, I like that.
Think puzzles, brain games, memory challenges, learning a new skill, anything that forces you to think critically, flex those mental muscles, and step outside your comfort zone.
So it's all about challenging our brains with novel activities that keep us on our mental toes, and there's so many fun ways to do it.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of exploring your creative side too. Engaging in artistic activities, whether it's painting, drawing, writing, playing music, dancing, it can have a profound impact on your cognitive abilities.
Wait, really? I always thought of art as this kind of separate realm from intelligence. Are you saying there's a strong connection between the two?
There is. When you engage in art, you're stimulating various parts of your brain, including those involved in perception, memory, problem solving, and emotional expression.
So it's like a whole brain workout disguised as a fun, creative activity.
Exactly.
I love it. But it's not just about being good at art, is it?
No, it's about using art as a tool to enhance our overall cognitive abilities. And remember, everyone is creative in their own way. It's about finding the forms of artistic expression that resonate with you and allowing yourself to explore them freely.
This is making me realize that boosting brain power isn't just about studying hard or memorizing facts. It's about approaching life with a sense of curiosity, creativity, a willingness to try new things. Speaking of new things, you mentioned earlier the importance of meaningful conversations. How exactly does social interaction impact our brains?
Oh, it's incredibly important. Humans are social creatures by nature. We're wired for connection, and our brains thrive on social interaction.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's literally about nourishing our brain.
Exactly. When we engage in positive social interactions, our brains release oxytocin. It's often called the bonding hormone.
Right.
Yeah,
I've heard of oxytocin, in the context of romantic relationships and stuff, but it plays a role in cognitive function as well.
it does. Oxytocin has been shown to reduce stress, increase trust and empathy, and enhance cognitive function. So spending time with loved ones, nurturing your friendships, engaging in those meaningful conversations, well, it's not just good for our souls, it's good for our brains too.
Oh, I love that. It's a reminder that we're not just isolated individuals, we're part of this larger social fabric, and our cognitive well-being is totally intertwined with the quality of our connections. And what better way to connect with others than through the pursuit of lifelong learning? It's about constantly seeking out new knowledge, new experiences, new perspectives.
That's a powerful point, and it brings us right back to that core idea of neuroplasticity. You
Yeah.
know, the brain's amazing ability to change and adapt throughout our lives. It's never too late to learn a new skill, change a habit, or boost our cognitive abilities.
This is so empowering. It's like we have this power to sculpt our own brains, to become the architects of our own intelligence.
We do.
And the journey of learning, of becoming smarter, it's a lifelong adventure filled with endless
It
possibilities.
is. It's a journey we can all embark on, regardless of our age or background. And the more we learn, the more we realize how much there is still to discover.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far, just packed with valuable insights and practical tips. But before we move on to the next batch of brain boosting strategies, I want to pause here and let you, our listener, take a moment to reflect.
That's a great idea. It's important to give ourselves time to digest all this new information,
Right.
and to allow those aha moments to really sink in.
Exactly. So while we take a quick break, I encourage you to think about what's resonated with you so far, what sparked your curiosity, what are you eager to learn more about, and most importantly, what one action will you take today to start becoming smarter than you were yesterday?
That's a powerful question to ponder. Remember, even small steps can lead to big changes over time.
We'll be back soon to explore even more fascinating ways to unlock your brain's full potential. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I hope you all had a chance to think about what we talked about before the break. It's really amazing how many different ways we can actually, influence our own intelligence.
Yeah, it really is. And it's all thanks to this remarkable thing called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to change and adapt all throughout our lives.
Right. It's like having a superpower we often just forget about.
Yeah, it's true. For a long time, people thought our brains were basically fixed after a certain age.
Yeah,
But now we know that that's not true at all.
not even close.
Every time you learn something new, have a new experience, or challenge yourself mentally, you're literally rewiring your brain, creating all these new neural connections.
So it really is never too late to learn a new skill or pick up a new hobby or even just change a bad habit. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely not. Your brain is constantly changing and evolving, responding to all the input that it receives, which means, you have a tremendous amount of control over your own cognitive destiny.
This is so empowering. It's like we're not just stuck with the brain we were born with.
Mhm.
We can actively shape it and make it better.
Precisely. But this power, it comes with responsibility. The choices we make, the habits we cultivate, even the information we consume, all of those things have an influence on how our brains develop.
So it's not just about what we do, but also about what we choose not to do. Are there any common brain drainers that we should be aware of and try to minimize?
That's a great question. One of the biggest culprits I think, in the modern world is just information overload. We're
Yeah.
constantly bombarded with news, social media updates, all those notifications. It's just a never-ending stream of digital distractions.
Yeah, it's true. It's like our brains are being force-fed information from a fire hose, like all the time. No wonder we feel mentally exhausted sometimes.
Exactly. And this constant barrage, it can lead to cognitive fatigue, reduced attention span, and even increased stress and anxiety.
Mm.
It's not just about the quantity of information we're exposed to, but also the quality.
So how do we protect our brains from all of this, like information overload? Do we need to go off the grid and live in a cabin in the woods?
Well, you could, but there are less drastic measures you can take, of course. It starts with being more mindful of your information consumption. Just be selective about the sources you trust, limit your exposure to social media, and don't be afraid to just unplug and disconnect from the digital world every once in a while.
I think we can all benefit from a little digital detox every now and then.
Yeah.
But what about those times when we really need to focus, we need to concentrate, but our environment is full of distractions? Any tips for creating a more, like, brain-friendly workspace?
Oh, absolutely. Our physical surroundings can have a huge impact on our cognitive abilities. There's a reason why libraries are often associated with quiet contemplation and deep thinking.
Right, yeah. It's pretty tough to focus when there's chaos and clutter all around you.
It is clutter, it's that competes for our attention, making it harder to concentrate and think clearly. So one of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is just declutter your workspace.
Hmm.
Whether it's your desk, your home office, or even your entire living space.
Okay, so a clean space equals a clear mind. I like that. What about other environmental factors, though? Can things like lighting or sound impact our cognitive abilities?
Absolutely. Lighting, that's incredibly important.
Hmm.
Natural light is ideal. It helps regulate our circadian rhythms and boosts our mood and energy levels.
So if you're working or studying, it's best to do it near a window if possible.
Exactly. And if you're relying on artificial light, try to choose bulbs that emit a warm, natural light rather than that, harsh blue light that's so common in a lot of electronic devices these days.
Yeah, I've heard that blue light can mess with our sleep. Is that true?
It is. Blue light, it suppresses melatonin production, and that's the hormone that helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle. So minimizing your exposure to blue light, especially in the evening, can really help improve your sleep quality. It's like telling your brain that it's time to wind down and prepare for rest.
That is a good reminder for sure. I definitely need to be more mindful of my screen time before bed. What about other sensory things, though? Can things like smell impact our cognitive abilities?
They can. They can. Certain scents like lavender, rosemary, peppermint, those have all been shown to improve memory, focus, and alertness.
Oh, interesting. So maybe diffusing some essential oils or having a vase of fresh flowers nearby, that could be a good way to create a brain-boosting atmosphere.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of personalization either. Surrounding yourself with things that inspire you, that bring you joy, or evoke positive memories, that can have a powerful impact on your mood and your motivation, and that ultimately influences your cognitive performance.
This is making me realize that boosting brain power isn't just about, individual habits and practices. It's about creating this whole holistic environment that supports our cognitive well-being. It's about paying attention to all those little details that can either enhance or, detract from our mental clarity and focus.
Absolutely. It's about taking a multifaceted approach, addressing all those different aspects of our lives,
Yeah.
from our physical surroundings to our mental habits to our social connections.
Right. And speaking of social connections, you talked earlier about the importance of meaningful conversations. I'm curious to explore this a little further. How exactly does social interaction impact our brains?
Oh, it's incredibly important. Humans are social creatures. That's just our nature. We're wired for connection, and our brains really thrive on social interaction.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's literally about nourishing our brains.
Exactly. When we engage in those positive social interactions, our brains release oxytocin. It's often called the bonding hormone.
Right.
Mhm.
I've always kind of associated oxytocin with, romantic relationships, but it plays a role in cognitive function as well.
It does. Oxytocin has been shown to reduce stress, increase trust and empathy, and even enhance cognitive function. So spending time with loved ones, nurturing your friendships, engaging in those meaningful conversations, it's not just good for our souls, it's good for our brains too.
Oh, I love that. It's a reminder that we're not just these isolated individuals, we're part of this larger social fabric. And our cognitive well being is really intertwined with the quality of our connections.
Absolutely. And those connections can be incredibly enriching, especially when they involve the exchange of ideas and perspectives. Think about it. Some of the most stimulating and thought-provoking experiences come from engaging in those deep conversations with people who challenge our assumptions and broaden our understanding of the world.
Right. It's like those conversations that just leave you feeling so energized and inspired. Your mind is buzzing with new ideas and possibilities. Those are the ones that really make us think and grow.
Exactly. And the beauty of these kinds of conversations is that they can happen anywhere with anyone. It could be a lively debate with a colleague, or a heart-to-heart with a close friend, or even just a chance encounter with a stranger who shares a different perspective.
So it's not just about who we're talking to, but it's about the quality of that conversation.
Precisely. It's about approaching conversations with curiosity, with a genuine desire to learn and understand. It's about being open to new perspectives, even if they challenge our own beliefs. Because ultimately, that's how we grow, by stretching our minds and expanding our horizons.
I think it's so important to remember that our brains, they thrive on novelty and challenge.
Absolutely. If we want to keep our minds sharp and agile, we need to constantly expose ourselves to new information, new experiences, and new ways of thinking.
It's like we need to keep our brains guessing, keep them on their toes, so to speak.
Exactly. Complacency is the enemy of cognitive growth. The moment we stop learning, the moment we stop challenging ourselves, our brains start to stagnate.
So it's not enough to just like be smart. We need to be becoming smarter.
That's a brilliant way to put it. It's about embracing that growth mindset.
Hmm.
That belief that intelligence is not fixed, but rather a quality that can be cultivated, that can be expanded throughout our lives.
And this really ties back to everything we've talked about so far, from the power of questioning to the benefits of exercise and sleep to the importance of those social connections.
Exactly. It's all interconnected. Every choice we make, every habit we cultivate, it all contributes to the ongoing development of our brains.
This is so inspiring. It's like we're all on this incredible journey of self-discovery, constantly learning, evolving, and becoming more of who we were meant to be.
Beautifully said. And that journey is filled with endless possibilities. There's always something new to learn, a new skill to master, a new challenge to overcome.
This deep dive has been packed with so much valuable information. It's incredible. It's amazing how many different facets of our lives they influence our cognitive abilities.
It really is. And it's empowering to know that we actually have so much control over our own brain health,
Yeah.
over our own cognitive destiny.
Before we wrap up, I want to remind you, our listener, that you are the architect of your own intelligence. You have the power to shape your mind, to expand your abilities, and to unlock your full potential.
Absolutely. Don't underestimate the incredible capacity of your brain to adapt, to grow, and to achieve amazing things.
We'll be back soon to explore even more fascinating insights and practical strategies for unlocking your brain's full potential, so stay tuned.
Wow, we've covered so much in this deep dive already. I can't believe it.
I know, it's really been amazing exploring all these ways we can, make ourselves smarter. It's fascinating.
One of the things that's really stuck with me is this whole idea of neuroplasticity.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
It's just wild to think that our brains are constantly changing and adapting.
Yeah.
Like we can rewire our own minds.
It really is. And the best part is we're not just stuck with the brain we were born with.
We can actually shape it, improve it throughout our lives.
So it's never too late to learn something new.
Never, never too late.
Like pick up a new skill or a new hobby, or even challenge ourselves to think in a different way.
Exactly. Every time you do that, every time you step outside your comfort zone and do something mentally stimulating, you're literally creating new pathways in your brain.
That makes me think of all those times, I've said to myself, oh, I'm too old for that, or I'm just not good at that kind of thing. Like I was putting limits on my own potential.
We all do that.
Mm.
But really, our brains are so much more adaptable than we give them credit for. It's all about challenging those old beliefs
Yeah.
and embracing that growth mindset.
Instead of saying, I can't do that, it's like, I can't do that yet.
Exactly. See challenges as opportunities.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. This whole deep dive has been about empowering you to kind of take charge of your own intelligence.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so cool because we have so much more control over our cognitive abilities than we think. you know?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
We can shape our brains by the choices we make, the habits we build, even the experiences we go after.
And it's a lifelong journey, this quest for knowledge, for understanding, always wanting to grow and evolve. That's what keeps our minds sharp.
So true. It keeps our hearts engaged and our spirits alive.
Beautifully said. And that journey,
Yeah.
it's filled with possibilities. Always something new to learn, some new skill to pick up, some challenge to overcome. It never ends.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Right.
What will you do today to become even smarter than you were yesterday?
It's a big question. But remember, it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be reading an article that makes you think or having a chat with someone you admire.
Or even just taking a few minutes to quiet your mind.
The important thing is just to take action, even a small one. Every step you take, every effort you make, it all goes towards building a better brain. You have the power to do amazing things. Keep learning, keep growing, keep exploring all that your mind has to offer. It's been such a pleasure sharing all this with you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. And keep those minds sharp, those hearts open, and those spirits soaring.
See you next time.